The UFC is scrambling behind the scenes for a main event of UFC 324, which kicks off the Paramount Plus era in the United States. And I have to be honest, guys, the UFC has already dropped the ball on a historic card, which should have been a monumental event, because the rumored main event, don't get me wrong, it's a decent fight. It's nothing to really blow you away for what Dana's promising to be a historic card. Ariel Helwani reported earlier today what he's hearing will be the main event. We're going to break that down. There's another potential main event for the card we're going to get to. We're going to talk about Khamzat Chimaev, because people are talking about him being off the card or out of the card or really out till after Ramadan. That kind of got overblown. We're going to break that down in this video. We're going to talk about Topuria's out for an extended period of time as well. And we're just going to talk about how this never ends, man. I talked about this weeks ago. Every time we get promised something, oh my God, it's going to be crazy. It's going to knock your socks off. UFC 300 main event's going to be wild. Whoa, crazy. It never seems to ever live up to the hype. And now we are roughly 60 days away. January 24th, 2026 is the first Paramount card, UFC 324. We still don't have a main event, and they're scrambling around behind the scenes for a main event. Why does it seem like this company is a fly-by-night company? They don't look at, I mean, we've known for this Paramount deal for a while now. They can't plan something out to actually have a good main event to open up the first ever Paramount Plus card era. I just don't get it. This happens all the time. It was the Sphere. Remember, they were scrambling for that. That ended up being kind of a lackluster main event on paper and in reality as well. We have UFC 300, which the card overall turned out to be great, but he was like teasing this mega main event. And then we got Pereira versus Jamal Hill for UFC 300. It just seems like it never ends. Dana White in the UFC always seem to fumble these main events on what are supposed to be monumental cards. It never fails. Every single time, it's like they don't care. There's so many great fights they can make, and apparently they don't have the foresight or the ability to plan to actually put it in order. That's just what it seems like to me every time they drop the ball. But let's get into it, okay? UFC 324, Paramount Plus, T-Mobile Arena will go down on January 24th. The UFC has requested an event permit for January 24th in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. This will likely be UFC 324, the first numbered event in Paramount era. Now, we don't know for sure. I don't know if we know for sure yet they're calling it UFC 324, but I believe they are. They're just going to call them the numbered events, and they're no longer going to be pay-per-views. But yeah, we thought, oh, we're going to get Ilia Topuria fighting maybe Paddy Pimblett, which would have been a big event, which would have been a big fight. Apparently, they're moving away from that now. Apparently, Topuria isn't going to fight on this card. We're going to get to that in a second. We thought maybe Khamzat. Nope, Khamzat's not fighting. And I don't think that's Khamzat's fault, by the way. But we're going to get to that in a second. And now, Ariel is reporting, and we're going to get to this in a little bit. Ariel's reporting what he's hearing is the main event for the Paramount card. You guys are going to be disappointed. You guys are going to be let down. It's a decent fight. But for a card of this magnitude, we need something better. Hopefully, I'm hoping that maybe they're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, that maybe they're going to figure something out. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But man, if it's what Ariel is saying, yeah, massive letdown. And also, I'm going to play a clip from this show that I actually agree with Ariel. Ariel was actually spitting facts in this video, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's start off with this. Khamzat Chimaev. This got a lot of blowback. I told you Khamzat sits out. I told you Khamzat's inactive. A lot of people crying about Khamzat being champion. And then, him being out till after Ramadan was somehow some massive catastrophe and a referendum on Khamzat Chimaev, and the fans were going crazy. This is why I didn't want him as champ. It's just so dumb, but we're going to break it down because he's not going to be on the Paramount card. Khamzat Chimaev said he'll be out until after Ramadan, quote, mid-March, due to a small operation on his foot. Quote, my return after Ramadan, right now I have a small operation on my foot. I'll step away from training for a couple weeks, heal my wound. So we'll prepare after Ramadan. Whoever they give me, that's who I'll face. And you have this graphic. And you have people crying up a storm. Chimaev's he's never fighting. He's never doing this. He's inactive. He doesn't fight, this and that. And I understand wanting to see Khamzat fight. But we have to stop blaming Khamzat for things that aren't in his control. And by the fucking way, he was never going to fight before March anyway. And we're going to break that down. We're going to break down the actual schedule. But it only seems to matter when it's Khamzat Chimaev. It only seems to matter, really, when it's a Muslim champion. That's really the only time it seems to matter. And I've been frustrated with Khamzat Chimaev's lack of activity as well, but it's not really been his fault. It's been the UFC's fault, so blame them. I don't understand why we're blaming Khamzat Chimaev. In this case, they're like, well, he's injured. Well, we're going to break down that it's just a small injury that he's taken care of because the UFC was going to have him wait out for a Middle Eastern card anyway. He was not going to fight in January. He was not going to fight in February. Oh, he's going to fight in March now. Okay, so he's going to fight there anyway. And it's a total normal period of time, which we're going to break down here because Khamzat Chimaev, okay, he fought in August of 2025, and that was the only fight of 2025. They're like, Joey, we're complaining because he only fights once a year. Well, why did he only fight once in 2025? Do you guys know? Let's put our thinking caps on. Do you guys know why? That's because they gave Sean Strickland an undeserved title shot in February of 2025. And then Khamzat wanted to fight earlier, but DDP had an injury, a nagging injury, a foot injury allegedly. And then they kept pushing the fight down the line. He wanted it at 317. He wanted it at 318. It ended up happening at 319. But how are we going to hold Khamzat Chimaev accountable when he wanted to fight in February, but the UFC gave beta male soy boy Sean Strickland an undeserved title shot instead? And by the way, August to March is not that crazy of a period of time for a champion to sit out and wait. And by the way, he wanted to fight in October too, but the UFC did not give him that as well. So I just don't get this. It's crazy to me that you have other champions. I'm not going to break down everyone. We're going to talk about Topuria in a second, who actually fits the criteria even worse than Chimaev that people are complaining about. But there's plenty of other champions. I mean, Volkanovski hasn't fought since April. Kayla Harrison hasn't fought since like early June. But we're complaining about Khamzat, who fought in mid-August. And now he's not going to fight till maybe March or April because they want to put him on like a Saudi or Abu Dhabi card. That's the reality of the situation. That's what's going to happen now. They're going to do Khamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Imavov in the Middle East, which does not fit in their schedule till March or April anyway. So Khamzat's dealing with a small nagging injury because the UFC wasn't going to put him on any of those cards anyway after they turned him down to fight in October in Abu Dhabi. Let's get that very clear, okay? So Khamzat's out of the mix, okay? Well, we thought, and it was reported for a while, it was kind of rumored for a while, it wasn't really reported, the UFC was going to make Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett as the first Paramount Plus card. Now, I don't think Paddy deserved a title shot. I don't think he was the most undeserving. Armin was clearly more deserving, but if Armin fought, late November, which he just fought, it wasn't the craziest thing to do Topuria versus Paddy in January, and then Armin could fight the winner 4 months down the line. But now that Armin just won, he said he's ready for a quick turnaround in January. A lot of people were hoping, they could book Ilia Topuria versus Armin as the first Paramount Plus card. And I still hope that does happen, but it's not looking like it's going to happen because that's not what I heard. Okay, that's not what I heard. Let's pull this out. Ilia Topuria has a few minor injuries and is out until spring. Original plan was to do Topuria versus Pimblett to open the Paramount card per sources. I just heard this as a rumor. Okay, I'm just kind of messing around with the per sources. I can't wait to see the outrage considering Topuria hasn't fought since June. Keep the same energy you kept with Khamzat, which is facts. Keep the same energy with Topuria because if you look at Ilia Topuria, 17-0. He fought Charles Oliveira in June. So a month and a half earlier than when the last time Khamzat fought. And he's not fighting in January. And he's going to be out till the end of Q1 as well. It seems. That's what it seems as of right now. Now, I don't know like 100%. Obviously, I said this is just rumors. Supposedly minor injuries also. It could be his family issues as well. There's stuff going on there. He is allegedly not fighting in January unless something massively changes. And Ariel Helwani said the same thing here. Whole thought not captured here. So just to be 1,000% clear, Armin is without a doubt the number one guy. Figured they want to kick off the Paramount Plus era with Ilia, Paddy, two huge stars. So that's what I'm saying here. But now hearing that it's not the case. So if we're going to wait until spring, it should be Ilia versus Armin. Now Ariel's spitting facts there. If they're going to do it in January, I don't have a problem with Topuria versus Paddy. I do have a little bit of a problem because Arman said he would fight in January. That'd be the fight to make. Ideally, Paramount Plus card would be Ilia Topuria, Arman Tsarukyan main event for the lightweight title. But Ilia's not fighting on that card. Unless something changes massively, he's not fighting on that card. So if they're going to wait, they better not wait and do Ilia versus Patty, because then you have Arman sitting out for another year for no fucking reason when he's clearly the undeniable #1 contender. But it's crazy to me. Ilia's been out since June. You don't hear people crying now. You don't hear people crying now. What about Tom Aspinall, by the way? You know, I satirically used to complain about Aspinall sitting out for 16 months. You know, sat out from June of 2024 till October of 2025. So where's the complaints? And they're like, Joey, you have to have context, man. Why doesn't that same thing apply to Khamzat with context? But no, they just want to complain because they complain about certain fighters. Tom Aspinall maybe could headline the Paramount Plus card. We're going to get into the actual champions that may be able to jump in and save the card. But I just want to point out the hypocrisy. You have so many champions right now, okay? You have Alexander Volkanovski, I believe, I'm going off the top of my head right now, hasn't fought since April. Don't see the complaining there. Nope, don't see the complaining, but they're complaining about Khamzat, who hasn't fought since mid-August, okay? Topuria hasn't fought since June, okay? Pereira sat out for 7 or 8 months until the rematch of Ankalaev. We'll talk about Pereira. I'm not complaining, okay? He demanded Las Vegas. He demanded October, but he sat out for 7 or 8 months. So Khamzat potentially sitting out for 6 months is some massive issue, even though the UFC wasn't going to book a card anyway, because January was Paramount. Okay, they weren't going to do it on that card. February, they're going to Australia, so that's going to be the Volk main event. Hopefully they do Volk versus Mavsar in February. Then you have March and April available for Topuria or Khamzat, and they're going to do a Middle Eastern card in March or April anyway. So that was their plans to begin with. And the reason Khamzat only fought once in 2025 was, again, because they gave beta male soy boy Sean Strickland a title shot. But besides the point. Okay, so the schedule didn't line up anyway. But you start looking at the champions right now. Pantoja's fighting in December, and he's not a mega headliner, okay? Merab's fighting in December, not a mega headliner. Volk's going to fight in February, 99% sure. He's not going to fight for the Paramount card. I would be pretty damn sure, okay? So you have him. Topuria is now basically being ruled out unless something massively changes. Islam just fought. I think the UFC should figure something out. Do Islam Gary, Paramount card. That'd be my dream main event if Topuria cannot fight. Gary would take it. Islam would probably take it. Islam didn't take any damage against JDM. Now, I don't know if he wants to turn around and have a fight camp back quickly, but if that's not the case, so you rule Islam out, Khamzat's ruled out. You have Pereira, you have Tom Aspinall, and then you have the women's champions. So you have kind of, it's slim pickings. The UFC should have done a better job planning this. They really should have, and it absolutely drives me nuts that they don't do a better job planning this type of stuff. I don't understand why we're not going to get a mega headliner for the first Paramount card of 2026, the first event of the non-pay-per-view era in the United States. Anyway, I want to show you guys this because it seems that Dana White is constantly blowing smoke up our ass. It seems like Dana White has consistently dropped the ball over and over and over again when it comes to these historic events where he promises and promises and promises, and then it never really lives up to it. I mean, look at this. Well, I'm going to actually show you this clip first. Like, where did this ever go?
Anticipate a lot of big fights. I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025. That literally started to come together last night, and yeah, we got some fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, we'll never see it coming because it never came, Dana. It never came, and he was even asked about it again, followed up like a month later.
You said in December that you're going to do something. You have something in the works that we will never see coming for 2025. Can you give us just a hint?
Look at this shit-eating grin.
What I was talking about in December, yeah, I would imagine it's probably going to happen, and it's going to happen in the fall. A fight that I'm working on.
Oh.
And we'll never see it coming.
Nope.
And you'll never see it because it never came. It's just Dana habitually hyping up stuff. I mean, it drives me nuts. And let me actually pull up this clip. I didn't I didn't have it ready to go, so let's just pull it up real quick. It doesn't even have the clip. It's an Instagram Live. Dana White says that everyone will go crazy for the UFC 300 main event. He follows up by saying they have a couple options for the main event, but they are yet to make a final decision. I mean, think about how much he was hyping up the UFC 300 main event. Not that Pereira Jamal Hill wasn't good, but did that live up to any expectations? It just seems like every event that they're promising and promising and promising. And Dana was like, oh, we're going to make the best card. We're going to start off with a bang. And I do suspect that the Paramount card will be rather deep. But how do we just not have an A-plus main event? Because we have limited options. You go back and look at this. Basically, the only options we have are Islam, and that's a maybe because he just fought, Alex Pereira. And then if Topuria is off the table, it's just, there's nothing. There's nothing. And then we have Ariel's reporting earlier today. I will link this video down in the description. You guys are about to find out what Ariel's hearing, man. I think it's going to make you sick. Listen to this.
Come to find out, it sounds, at least as of now, and I'm not reporting this as definitively, but it sounds, at least as of now,
so hopefully maybe the UFC shocks us on this,
that fight isn't scheduled, believe it or not, for the January PLE.
By the way, he's talking about Topuria versus Patty here. I thought he said it, but I think it was earlier. I just cropped out some dead space.
If you will. Still not sure what to call it. Are we calling it pay-per-view still? What are we calling these? Numbered event. I don't feel like it rolls off the tongue.
And that's what it's called.
It sounds like that's not the plan. What I'm hearing, the plan is front runner, Kayla versus Amanda. Now, could they do both? Sure, of course. Why not? But I'm not hearing that that's a part of the mix. And so if that's not a part of the mix, if it's not Patty versus Ilia, scrap those plans. We got to move on. It's got to be Armin versus Ilia.
Which I actually 100% agree with. It should be the case. Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes is kicking off the Paramount era. I mean, I'm not one of these like habitual women's MMA haters, but that's what they're going to give us. That's what they, oh man. That should have been like a White House fight card, which I still don't believe the White House card's happening. Some version of a White House card will happen. I'm still not buying it. But that's what UFC and Dana White mustered up. They better have something else in their back pocket. They better make Ilia Topuria fight on this card. That better be a co-main event. Harrison Nunes is opening up the Paramount era. Like, that just doesn't do it for me. I like the fight. I'm excited for that matchup. But the main event of, like, what's supposed to be, like, this monumental... It's just dropping the ball again. Like, is anybody else just habitually disappointed? Like, every time you get your hopes up, like, damn, there's no way they're going to fumble this. They're definitely going to have a mega card for Paramount, opening up Paramount. They want massive ratings to kick off the $7.7 billion deal. They're getting paid a ridiculous amount of money per event. And this is what we're getting? It just makes absolutely no sense. And I want to show you one other clip from this actually as well. Ariel's actually spitting facts here, to be honest. He's talking about, because they're saying, this guy's saying you only have one chance to make Ilia versus Patty. So even if it happens in the spring, still make it, which I vehemently disagree with. You need to make Ilia versus Armin. That needs to happen, not Patty. Patty can fight someone else. And Ariel is actually spitting facts here. You ain't going to believe this. He actually makes a prediction, and I 100% agree with him. So I figured I'd featured it since I watched this video.
Pieces, right? If we're accounting for every piece on the board, I think you only get one shot with Patty and Ilia. And you have to take it.
Patty beats.
He's basically saying Patty will lose. If you put him against it, he's got his opportunity now. He's going to lose if you start booking him against top opposition. Let me rewind it here because I stepped on it.
And you have to take it.
Patty beats Gaethje. That is not a risk. You're not putting him in there against Armin. Patty beats Gaethje for sure.
Look at this face. You know what's crazy? I 100% agree with Ariel. Patty would work over Gaethje. Gaethje's not in his prime anymore, and he has this shit grappling. Don't get me wrong. Could Gaethje put him out cold? Is it like 100% guarantee? No, it's not. But I'm pretty confident Patty would beat Gaethje. And I've been a Patty, not a believer, but I've been a person shouting that Patty's underrated for a while, even though he's not like crazy the elite of the elite, but he's been a bit underrated. But let's continue.
You
for sure?
I think look, obviously not for sure.
What's Patty Pimblett's best win? Truly,
Mike Chandler.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a big drop off there. I don't. I really don't.
Respectfully, Like Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, those guys are not in their primes.
And neither is Gaethje. So I'm tired of people saying, well, Patty would be bigger for the sport. Patty would draw in more. No, Arman is the deserving contender. Patty can fight someone else. And Gaethje can fuck right off, okay? That's what he can do. Because Gaethje's like, I want a title shot, otherwise I'm going to retire. Well, then retire then. I'm tired of these dudes acting entitled. So, if you're not getting Ilya Arman, which would be the most ideal main event for Paramount, and Ariel's now saying he's hearing Nunes is returning to fight for the title against Kayla Harrison, what are your other options? Again, you only have Alex Pereira. Now, the only reporting we have on this so far is very just, oh, this was rumored. We have this right here. This is not yet confirmed, but I am hearing rumors that the UFC is aiming for Alex Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for January 24th, UFC 324. Listen, I don't think this is a horrible main event, but we got to call on Alex Pereira every single time we're just fumbling the bag and dropping the ball. That's what we got to do. Let's just call Pereira. We'll just let him fight up any contender. We'll let him fight Khalil Roundtree. We'll let him fight no Achilles Jamal Hill. We'll let him fight short notice Yuri. I think this is actually a tough matchup. I think Ulberg's underrated. I would pick Pereira in this matchup. A lot of people think I'm a Pereira hater. I would pick Pereira in this matchup. But even this, like, I know people are going to say, Joey, you're the Dagestani Glazer. Does anyone else prefer the Azamat fight? Mirzakhanov? Azamat Mirzakhanov. I would prefer that. Alex Pereira, Azamat Mirzakhanov. I mean, I know Ulberg's kind of deserving, but he slumped out Reyes. Let's not act like that's undeniable, unequivocal. You know, when Mirzakhanov just brutally KO'd Rockage, which I think is a better win and is undefeated, I think that would be a much better. Oh my God, I want that bad. That's what I want. I don't think Pereira is going to take that on, I don't want to say short notice, but relatively short notice. Ulberg is a much more favorable matchup. And again, I'm not shitting on this one. I don't think him beating Ulberg or him fighting Ulberg is one of those matchups like, UFC's kind of feeding him favorable matchups. I think Ulberg is decent. I think Ulberg is good enough to compete. But man, I think what could save the card is Alex Pereira versus Mirzakhanov. Azamat Mirzakhanov. I think that's the fight they should make. But either way, these are kind of disappointments. I just feel like you look at the UFC champions right now, to headline the biggest card of the year, or what should be the biggest card of the year, you need one of your biggest stars. That's either Islam Makhachev, who I believe is the biggest star in the sport right now, that is Khamzat Chimaev, or that is Ilia Topuria. Alex Pereira, I get it. He's still a bigger star as well. But does the Ulberg fight knock anyone's socks off? I mean, think about Alex Pereira. I want you to give me your guys' excitement. Rank these fights. This is what I want you guys to do in the comments. Alex Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg. Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. Khamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Imavov. And Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Gary. I think Pereira's at the bottom of that list. Now, I will not mind, and I still think they will drop the ball a little bit if they do main event Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, or co-main event Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, main event Pereira versus Ulberg, and then stack the card underneath of it. But I just feel like, how do they not have one of the biggest stars headlining? I mean, I guess Pereira is one of the bigger stars in the UFC, but I don't know, man. I just feel like we were due for an A+ main event, and we're just simply not getting it. And I'll tell you this, if Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes is the main event, I'm completely let down. And of course, why is this kind of off the screen a little bit? I mean, I'm completely let down by this. I don't know about you guys. You'll have to let me know. But if we get Kayla Harrison versus Nunes, main event of the first Paramount card, that's a ball drop by the UFC. Dana White has let the fans down yet again. Why can they not plan in advance? I just don't get it. I really don't get it. So hopefully, I hope that Topuria can fight. Honestly, I would prefer Tom Aspinall with his clean bill of health would get back in there against Ciryl Gane. If Aspinall's going to be out for a while, strip him of the belt or make an interim belt. Let's get Ciryl Gane versus Salsa Boy for the interim heavyweight title, or potentially the undisputed heavyweight title if Tom's going to sit out for a while with an eye patch, with a clean bill of health, 17 different ones from 18 different doctors. Because that's the only other option. Like, if it was up to me, man, put all 3 of those title fights on there. Do Harrison versus Nunes, do Pereira versus Ulberg, and do Aspinall versus Cyril Gane in any particular order. I guess Pereira would headline. I guess the Cyril Gane Aspinall will be the featured fight. I don't think they're going to do that. But I'm just kind of disappointed. And I wanted to cover it in the video just to talk about the card in general because it's coming up. It's right around the corner. And somehow we still don't have a main event. It should be announced in the next 10 days. My guess is they're going to announce it this week, maybe next week at the latest. But it's like they're always scrambling around. Like, why can they never? I just don't get it. Fly by night company, fly by night company, fly by night company. I'm going to hold out hope that we get Ilia Topuria, Arman Tsarukyan. But I'm going to hold out hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I think we're going to be sorely disappointed in the first UFC numbered event free on Paramount Plus. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Am I overreacting here? Am I being like a UFC 300 alarmist? Which I actually defended UFC 300. But I don't know. I was expecting more from the UFC. I really was expecting more. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.